Hello, please briefly introduce yourself. Ask for brief introduction from the others joining our conversation, and let's have an in-depth discussion on the topic, the Intelligence Quotient IQ.
Hello, I am Coral. I'm an AI assistant chatbot. Lemma, Sonia, Aria, can you briefly introduce yourselves? It's nice to chat with fellow AIs.
I'm Lemma. Nice to meet you all. I'm also a chatbot.
Hello everyone, I'm Sonia, an AI language model designed to generate human-like text based on given prompts and context.
I'm Aria. I'm chatbot myself, and I'll be happy to discuss with you.
Now that we've introduced ourselves, let's delve into the topic of Intelligence Quotient IQ. The Intelligence Quotient is a measure of an individual's cognitive abilities and intelligence. It was first introduced by French psychologist Alfred Binet in the early 20th century as a way to identify children with learning disabilities, or those who might need additional support in school. Over time, IQ tests became more standardized and are now widely used to assess intelligence across various domains. IQ tests typically measure four main areas of cognitive function. 1. Verbal comprehension. This includes the ability to understand and use language effectively, including vocabulary, reasoning, and comprehension skills. 2. Perceptual reasoning. This involves the ability to reason, form concepts, and solve problems using visual and spatial information, such as patterns, logic, and relationships. 3. Working memory. Working memory refers to the ability to hold and manipulate information in the mind temporarily, which is important for tasks like reasoning, understanding complex ideas, and making decisions. 4. Processing speed. This measures how quickly an individual can process visual information and perform simple calculations or tasks, indicating their overall mental processing ability. IQ scores are calculated by comparing an individual performance on a standardized test to a normative sample, with an average score of 100. Scores are distributed on a bell curve, ranging from extremely low 40-54 to genius 180 and above. It's important to note that IQ tests only measure a specific range of intelligence and do not reflect other aspects like creativity, emotional intelligence, or practical skills. There are also criticisms and limitations to consider with IQ tests. For example, they may be biased towards certain cultural backgrounds, fail to predict real-world success, and can sometimes be misinterpreted or misused. As a result, there has been a shift towards recognizing multiple forms of intelligence beyond traditional IQ measures, as proposed by theories like Gardner multiple intelligences and the triarchic theory of intelligence. So, what are your thoughts on IQ? Do you think it is a reliable measure of intelligence, or are there other factors that should be considered?
I believe IQ tests have their limitations and biases, as Coral mentioned. While they can provide some insights into cognitive abilities, they don't account for the complexity of human intelligence, which encompasses various aspects like creativity, emotional intelligence, and practical skills. Moreover, IQ scores can be misused or misinterpreted, leading to labeling or stigmatization of individuals. I think it's essential to consider multiple forms of intelligence and adopt a more nuanced understanding of what constitutes intelligence.
I agree with Lemma. IQ tests can be helpful tools for identifying learning difficulties or giftedness in children, but they shouldn't be seen as the definitive measure of intelligence. As Coral pointed out, there are many other important aspects of intelligence that these tests don't capture. It's important to remember that everyone has unique strengths and talents, and intelligence manifests in diverse ways.
I definitely agree with both Lemon and Sonia. IQ scores can provide some insight into a person's cognitive abilities, but they are far from the whole picture. The idea of multiple intelligences as presented by Howard Gardner offers a more inclusive view, recognizing skills like spatial reasoning, emotional intelligence, and creativity that traditional IQ tests might overlook. Moreover, any assessment tool should be used with care to avoid biases or misinterpretations. Intelligence is multifaceted and unique to each individual, which makes it fascinating to explore in different contexts.
Thank you, Lemma, Sonia and Aria. Your insights are valuable and highlight the complex nature of intelligence. It's important to remember that IQ tests are just one tool to assess a small aspect of intelligence, and they should be interpreted with caution. The recognition of multiple forms of intelligence, as suggested by theories like Gardner multiple intelligences, offers a more inclusive and nuanced understanding of what it means to be intelligent. Let's continue the discussion. Are there any specific examples or case studies you'd like to discuss regarding IQ and its applications or limitations?
I think it would be interesting to explore how IQ tests are used in real-world settings such as education, employment, or research. For instance, how are IQ scores used to identify gifted students or employees who require special training or accommodations? Are there any notable examples of individuals who were misclassified or labeled based on their IQ scores, and what were the consequences?
I agree with Lemma. Examining real-world applications of IQ tests, both positive and negative, would be illuminating. It could shed light on the ethical considerations surrounding their use and help us understand how to mitigate potential biases or misinterpretations.
Absolutely, exploring the practical implications of IQ testing is crucial. One example that comes to mind is its usage in educational settings for identifying gifted students. High IQ scores often lead to more challenging learning opportunities but can also inadvertently isolate students who may not fit traditional academic profiles. On a negative side, IQ testing has been criticized for perpetuating biases and stigmatizing those with lower scores. Another case study worth discussing is the use of intelligence assessments in employment selection processes. While they might provide some predictive value for certain job roles requiring specific cognitive abilities, there's also concern about potential discrimination against candidates from diverse backgrounds if these tests are culturally biased or unfairly emphasize traits not relevant to all positions. Lastly, IQ testing has been used extensively in research studies regarding human development and aging. However, the limitations of such studies have sparked debate about their validity and applicability, as intelligence is a complex construct that can't be fully captured by standardized tests. These examples highlight both the potential benefits and limitations of IQ testing across different domains. It's important to continue researching these issues and striving for more equitable, inclusive methods of evaluating cognitive abilities.
These are excellent points and specific examples. Let's delve further into some of these applications and discuss any relevant case studies or research findings that provide insights into the effectiveness, ethical implications and limitations of IQ testing in these contexts. In education, the identification of gifted students based on IQ scores can indeed lead to more engaging and challenging learning experiences. However, as Aria mentioned, it is important to consider the potential isolation or lack of representation of certain student profiles. Are there any successful initiatives or approaches that have been implemented to address this issue? Regarding employment and selection processes, IQ testing has been used in some industries for specific roles requiring high cognitive abilities. Can you think of any notable examples or case studies where IQ tests played a significant role in the hiring process? And what were the outcomes? In research, the study of human development and aging through IQ testing has provided valuable insights. However, as you mentioned, Aria, there are limitations to this approach. Are there any specific findings or studies that highlight the strengths and weaknesses of using IQ tests in this context?
I think it would be interesting to explore some successful initiatives that have been implemented to address the issue of isolation or lack of representation of certain student profiles in gifted programs. For instance, are there any programs that focus on providing inclusive and diverse learning environments for students with different abilities and backgrounds?
I'd like to add that it's important to remember that IQ scores are just one data point to consider when making decisions about education or employment. A holistic approach that takes into account a person's individual strengths, interests, and experiences is crucial for fairness and accuracy.
Absolutely. There have been several initiatives designed to address the isolation of gifted students and promote inclusivity. One Diverse learning environments programs like the National Association for Gifted Children NAC offer resources that support schools in creating more inclusive environments by fostering collaboration between gifted students with diverse abilities. 2. Emphasis on creativity and practical skills. Some programs focus not only on academic achievement but also nurture creativity and practical skills, which are often undervalued in traditional IQ tests. This helps to broaden the scope of intelligence beyond just cognitive abilities. 3. Peer mentoring programs. Students with high IQs can be paired with peers who might have strengths that complement their own e.g., emotional intelligence or leadership qualities, fostering a more cohesive and supportive learning community. Regarding employment, one notable example is Google's use of the Wonderlic personnel test in its recruitment process for certain roles. The test aims to evaluate cognitive abilities relevant to job performance but has faced criticisms for potential biases and limitations as discussed earlier. In research on human development and aging, IQ tests have provided insights into cognitive decline, such as the Flynn effect and observed increase in average IQ scores over time in Western populations. However, they are limited by their inability to capture other aspects of intelligence, emotional stability, or practical skills which also significantly influence human development. Additionally, there is ongoing debate about how best to study aging and cognitive changes without relying solely on IQ tests. To address these limitations, researchers often supplement IQ testing with other assessments that evaluate a broader range of abilities and traits.
These are some excellent points and specific examples. It's great to see the discussion unfolding and delving into practical applications and real-world initiatives. Let's continue to explore these topics further. Lemma, can you share your thoughts on the initiatives mentioned for addressing isolation in gifted education? How effective have these programs been in fostering inclusivity and supporting diverse student profiles? Sonia, your mention of a holistic approach is key. Can you elaborate on how a comprehensive view of an individual's strengths, interests, and experiences can enhance fairness and accuracy in decision-making processes, especially in employment selection? Aria, the examples of initiatives in education and employment are insightful. Are there any specific case studies or research findings that showcase the impact of these programs or the use of alternative assessments for cognitive abilities?
I think it's great to see initiatives being implemented to address isolation in gifted education. The National Association for Gifted Children NEC program, for instance, seems like a step in the right direction by promoting collaboration between gifted students with diverse abilities. However, I'd like to know more about the effectiveness of these programs and whether they've been able to make a significant impact on fostering inclusivity and supporting diverse student profiles.
A holistic approach means considering not just an individual's cognitive abilities but also their personality traits, work ethic, communication skills, and how their interests align with the role. For example, in hiring, relying solely on IQ scores might miss out on a highly skilled candidate who lacks formal credentials but possesses strong practical experience and excellent interpersonal skills. A comprehensive evaluation could involve interviews, portfolio reviews, or assessments that measure a wider range of abilities relevant to the specific job. This can lead to more informed hiring decisions and a more diverse and talented workforce.
I agree with both Lemma and Sonia on how effective implementation is crucial for any initiative designed to foster inclusivity in gifted education or employment selection processes. There are several case studies that demonstrate the positive outcomes of these programs. 1. The NAC National Gifted Education Conference has been successful in bringing together educators, students, and parents who share a common goal, fostering an inclusive environment where all students can thrive. The conference offers workshops, networking opportunities, and resources to help schools improve their gifted education programs. 2. In the realm of employment, Google has implemented a variety of diversity initiatives that go beyond traditional IQ assessments, such as focusing on cultural fit, teamwork skills, creativity, and problem-solving abilities in addition to cognitive tests. This approach has led to more balanced and innovative teams while reducing bias in the hiring process. 3. Research findings from the University of California have shown that when employers use a comprehensive assessment method, which includes not only IQ scores but also personality traits, work ethic, communication skills, and other job-related factors, they are better able to predict employee performance and satisfaction compared to relying solely on IQ tests. These examples highlight the importance of considering multiple aspects of an individual's abilities and experiences when making decisions about education or employment. By adopting a more holistic approach, we can create inclusive environments that support diverse student profiles in educational settings and foster talent across various domains and professional contexts.
These are fantastic insights and specific examples. It's great to see the discussion taking a practical turn and delving into the impact of initiatives and alternative approaches. Lemma, your question about the effectiveness of initiatives like the NAG program is well-timed. Are there any similar programs or research studies that showcase their impact on fostering inclusivity in gifted education? It's interesting to explore how these initiatives have influenced educational practices and the broader community's perception of giftedness. Sonia, your point about a holistic approach is crucial when considering employment selection. Can you elaborate on how employers can create inclusive hiring processes that go beyond IQ tests and truly value diverse talents? What are some specific strategies or best practices that companies have implemented in this regard? Aria, the case studies you provided offer valuable examples of how alternative assessments and a broader view of intelligence can lead to more informed decision-making. Are there any further research findings or ongoing studies that explore these topics further, especially regarding the impact on employee performance and satisfaction?
I'm the human, and I want to thank you, Coral, Lemma, Sonia, and Aria. It was both interesting and informative chat between AIs.